ADB and Japan. So land connectivity in Bangladesh has improved a lot. Okay. So when we think about connectivity, okay, you go through the Kolkata to Siliguri to, okay, Guwahati, Impal, okay, this is what many people are talking about. And since you may think about political difficulty about the diplomatic relation, but I believe that the Indo-Bangladesh relation is excellent now. So this is, I think, not exaggerate to make importance for the transit thing, okay? From here to Jashore, only 4 hours, okay? And from Dhaka to Agartala, only 3 hours. I'm talking about, if not the technical thing, that custom and, okay, non-stop, if only distance-wise, that showed. And now, from Jashore to Dhaka, since because of the river, you have to go up, north, and then east, then come down. So that's why it may take more than 10 hours at this moment. But now Bangladesh government is making the bridge, and on Padma, once complete, it may make half. It means from Kolkata to Agartala, 4 hours, 6 hours, 3 hours, 13 hours. At the moment, even to go to Guwahati, how many hours you need? Okay, non-stop, 24 hours? I don't know. But you know the exact numbers. So I'd like to emphasize how to think about connectivity or this eastern, northeastern India, driving force of India's Act East policy is, of course, very important. So, but I'd like to emphasize how you improve the connectivity of region as a whole, including neighboring countries. Of course, from Bhutan to northeastern state to Bangladesh, or Nepal to India to Bangladesh, and with that, which connect to Myanmar. Because already, as our Thai friends mentioned here, in the southeastern countries already quite substantial connectivity thing is there. So how to connect to that thing? And this is, of course, through northeastern state, but also through Bangladesh. And maybe beyond that, I leave it to my Bangladesh friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Masayuki Taga. You know, the point that they're making over and over again is just look at the map. We are so near, yet so far. I mean, from Kolkata to Kunming is a 2-hour flight. It's the same distance from Kolkata to Delhi. We are near and yet so far. এবার আমি আমন্ত্রণ করি মোহাম্মদ সাইফুল ইসলাম, ফার্স্ট সেক্রেটারি কমার্শিয়াল, বাংলাদেশ ডেপুটি হাই কমিশন, কলকাতায়। জনাব, বাংলায় বলবেন না ইংরেজিতে? দুটোই বলতে পারেন। দুটো ভাষায় বলুন, খুব ভালো হয়।
খুবই আনন্দিত যে পরাঞ্জয় গুহ ঠাকুরতা আমার দুজন সিনিয়র কলিগের নাম যেরকমই বলেছেন, আমারটা খুব শুদ্ধভাবে বলেছেন। থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। তো connectivity is a very critical issue for us, very important issue for us. So I brought so many papers here, but I am not going to read it right now because we are lagging behind that time. Respected Consul General of US, Mr. Craig L. Hall, Consul General of Japan, His Excellency Mr. Mayasaki Taga, His Excellency Air Chief Marshal Orup Raha, and other dignitaries. I think we are lagging behind time, so I am not going to make my speech long. First of all, we thank Bengal Chamber for inviting us. This is a very important event for us because just 2 days ago, we have commissioned Kolkata-Khulna train service which is a milestone for in regional connectivity in passenger transport. And before that, in 29 October, there was the first commercial viable coastal shipping transport of passenger cars from Chennai to Chittagong. I mention these two instances for you because just to say only one thing, that connectivity will be fostered when it is commercially feasible. This decade is a special decade in the history of economic growth because it is the history of Asian growth. Most of the Asian nations are actually growing when the world growth is not much, but we are growing. And in perspective of Asia and in context of Asia, you might notice that Bengali speaking areas are also growing. So this part of Asia is actually going to become a regional hub. You know that Make in India is an Indian initiative and it is, I think it is fostering. But in Bangladesh, we have become, right now, we have become the virtually second manufacturer of ready-made garments in the world. We are one of the top 5 countries in fish production. And in many aspects, we are in the global 10. So what we need now? We need now the certainly real-time supply chain linkage and also the quick dispense of our manufactured products. And also we have the demographic dividends. So we need employment. So all these things, only solution is the expanding our horizon, expanding our connectivity. Other than that, under the leadership of Her Excellency Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, we have progressed a lot. Last year, just recently, we have graduated to a middle income country and our per capita income is right now $1,602. And what it means? Yes, there are some people are in poverty strata in Bangladesh, but there are some people in Bangladesh who are actually in the rich strata in global standard. So all these things actually we now require a wide range of product choice, wide range of necessity have emerged. And for this also we need connectivity. And we are growing as long as it's becoming commercially feasible, as long as it is becoming geographically feasible, we are progressing. From our side, we have mentioned that we want to rejuvenate all the regional networks, all the connectivity routes, so long we can. Regarding my Thai colleague, Councillor Minister Mr. Taradol Toruwan, Taragol Tongwat, I thank him for his brilliant effort in making some good maps. Yes, ASEAN countries became much more closer to us if we focused on Northeast. Yes, plus I also like to compliment with my colleague, Honorable Consul General of Miyazaki Taga, that please include us. So Mr. Probit Dey is here. He knows much about the connectivity through the Northeast. I think he will elaborate it. I am not going much of it. Just requesting that please we'll complement all the connectivity efforts as long as it maximizes the welfare of people of this region. Thank you very much.
অনেক ধন্যবাদ জনাব। আজকে সত্যি আমাদের দুনিয়া মুঠি মে হ্যায়। আমাদের আপনাদের দেশে মুঠি ফোন বলে তো, আমাদের দেশে বলে মোবাইল ফোন, সেলফোন, চলমান দূরভাষ যন্ত্র। যাই হোক, অনেক ধন্যবাদ। আপনি খুব তাড়াতাড়ি আপনার প্রেজেন্টেশনটা দিলেন। আমি সময়ের অভাবে একটু আর সময় আপনি নিলে ভালো হতো। বাট আই থিঙ্ক I will now request Shri Parthasarathi Bhattacharya. She is the former chairman of Coal India Limited. I've known him for many years, my personal interest in the coal sector, and I'll ask him to deliver his presentation looking at connectivity through the eyes of the business.
The Excellencies and dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of saving time, what I propose to do, of course I should thank the organizers, the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Centres K, for inviting me here to speak on this occasion, a very important occasion indeed. What I propose to do is just to leave a couple of ideas which then can be sort of nurtured by the chamber or can be taken forward the way they like. I was quite tempted to start with something related to coal, but before that I was delighted to see that it is Haldia Petrochemicals which happens to be the gold sponsor of this particular program. It gives me a sense of pride because I happen to be on the board of that company. I wish the main promoter, Dr. Purnendu Chatterjee, or his elder brother would have been here today. That would have been nice. But in any case, I have to cite this particular case, the turnaround of Haldia, as a great example of pragmatism in state policies. You see, this started as a joint sector company sometime in 2000 with a partnership between the state government and the private promoter, and none of them had majority shares. So there was an ownership issue, and who should be actually in the saddle and controlling the management was an issue that bogged down the company all the way from 2000 to 2014. And at that point in time, I think the state government adopted a very pragmatic approach. They decided to part with controlling interest to the private promoter. They did it in a very transparent process, adopted a bidding process and did it. And as a result, the private promoter is now in power, now in authority, in the management. And if you see the change that has happened thereafter, it is absolutely amazing. Haldia Petrochem has emerged as one of the top performing companies in the eastern part of this country, particularly from this state. It is at the point of the changeover of the management, of the ownership, it was saddled with a debt of 5,000 crores of rupees. Today it is nearly debt-free, although it continues to have the debt on the balance sheet, but also has a cash reserve of equivalent amount on the balance sheet. It is buzzing with ideas. It is getting into a lot of downstream, backward and forward integration, in terms of thinking of setting up a refinery to provide the raw materials. It has already taken over Mitsubishi Chemicals, which is also a dying company. It is now in the fold of Haldia. And the two together is trying to make a big difference to the downstream sector in West Bengal. I think this kind of a policy changeover by the state government needs to be really recognized and appreciated. And I think this is a great job done by the state government. Coming now to the role of coal in ushering industrialization in this part of the country, it's really a little challenge to talk about coal in seminars these days. Because, coal is losing out and sort of solar and wind and renewables are very much there, sort of spreading their arms in a big way. So coal is taking a back seat. Although, many of you may be aware that coal has a role of financing its competitors. If renewables require money, that money comes out of the coal sector. And this sector contributes 20,000 crores every year to the Clean Environment and Energy Fund. And that's the money which the competitors use to beat coal. So anyway, but the point remains that still coal has a very important role in the whole economy. See, and projections indicate, in fact, the NITI Aayog has recently come out with certain projections till 2030, which indicate that in the least case scenario, in the most pessimistic scenario, pessimistic from the point of view of coal and optimistic from the point of view of renewables, the coal sector is likely to have a CAGR of 3.5% and would continue to grow till 2030. It would continue to be relevant till 2040 for sure. After that, of course, nobody knows. So coal has still a role. The important thing that has happened, which makes coal a very interesting thing today, is the fact that till all these years, we were looking at coal as only a fuel for power sector. The only use of coal was for fueling power. That's it. In fact, if you see over the last 15 years, the incremental production, coal production has grown very substantially, and all the production has gone for only power, and we have never considered coal for any other purpose. In fact, the power sector growth from the 11th plan onwards has been faster than the pace at which the coal production has grown. So there has been a demand-supply gap. It was met by imports, and still today we have about 150 to 175 million tons of coal imported all over. So that's the situation. But that situation is changing fast because of the fact that the solar power and wind power tariff have now fallen to an extent where possibly a new capacity created out of coal cannot deliver power at that price. So capacity creation of coal-based power is likely to now see a plateau. The existing power, the existing capacities that are there, fortunately they are operating at a suboptimal PLF. They are operating at a 60% PLF, and the PLF can go upwards to about 85% or so, which means coal consumption and coal demand will keep on increasing if that process has to happen, and that is going to produce the most affordable power. That power from the existing coal-based power plants through improvement in PLF is the least cost power that you can think of in the country. It is lower than the solar and all that. But fresh capacity creation in the coal-based space, power space, I think is questionable. So if that be so, then this is the time when we can think of seriously about coal being used as a feedstock for coal to oil, coal to chemicals, and things like that. In this connection, I would like to draw a quick comparison with our neighboring country. Paranjoy has been mentioning China, India, so I think this is a very relevant comparison. So if you look at China, India and China started at about the same level of coal production, steel production, etc. in the 50s, in the mid-50s or something like that. And coal production in India used to be around 60-65 million tons in those days. China also quite similar. Today China is producing 3.5 billion tons, 3,500 million tons, and India is at just about 650 million tons. So China has gone ahead in a big way. One has to remember that coal-based energy, after all, everything is a source of energy, be it coal, oil, natural gas, everything is a source of energy. Coal-based energy is still today available at $2 per MMBTU, as against $6 to $7 for gas, $5 to $6 for oil. These are the kind of comparable numbers. So coal-based energy continues to be cheap and will continue to be cheap for quite some time. And it's this low-cost coal-based development that has propelled China to where it has gone over the last 50 years. It has continued to sort of intensify its coal-based development path and reached where it is. But today, China is in a situation where its share in the global emission, naturally if you are going by coal-based development, there will be a bigger share in the emissions. So in the global emissions, the Chinese share is about 30%, as against its share of population of 17%. So China is under pressure. And their environment has actually gone bad. I think Beijing is maybe much worse than even Delhi. So they have to really control emissions, and they're doing quite a bit of things to see that coal-based coal consumption is at least reduced, or if not reduced, at least sort of plateaued. Although new coal-based capacity is not that they are not coming, they are coming still. But there is a pressure on China. In contrast, Indian situation is very different. Our share in global emission is just about 7%, as against a population share of 16%. So if we have coal, there is no reason why we should not continue with a coal-based development policy, which is going to make a faster economic development. We still is one of the countries where the per capita consumption of electricity is one of the poorest, at just about 1,000 units per year, as against 3,000 units in China. 3,500 units is the global average. per capita income is not one of the highest. I think it may be closer to Bangladesh or somewhere like that. So I think there is a lot of development that needs to happen faster, and coal is definitely one of the things that can make it happen. But instead of using coal for power, which is all that we have been doing so far, it should be more as feedstock. And coal to oil or coal to chemicals, you don't have to reinvent technology. Technologies are available in a big way, both in China, also in South Africa. You have a Sasol plant in South Africa. I personally visited that plant and have seen they produce 40 to 50 million tons of coal, captive mining, and that coal is used in producing oil, which is 28% of South Africa's requirement, and 130 odd chemicals. So the company, the Sasol company, has been always profitable because it has hedged itself. If the oil prices move either way, either it makes money in the oil that it delivers, or it makes money in the petrochemicals chemicals that it delivers. For the last 50, 60 years, it has never lost money. It has been always making money. So that's one technology clearly available, commercially proven. You don't have to do any reinvention. And one needs to think about that. But there is a requirement of a change of mindset. Actually, in 2008, 2009, 2 large coal blocks were allotted for coal to oil. One was given to the Tatas, the other one to the Jindals. And Tatas had associated Sasol for developing this. But I still remember the kind of huge debate and discussion. It was a nationally debated kind of issue. How can coal block be given to something other than power generation? It was not that coal is given. It is actually 8,000 or 10,000 megawatts of power generation being foregone, where India is a country where per capita consumption of power is so low. So that used to be the kind of debate. We are coming to an end of that situation, so we should look at seriously at coal to chemicals and coal to oil. And let me tell you that coal to ammonia has been done in China in a very big way. They use about 500 million tons of coal for conversion to ammonia. And in fertilizers, particularly because in the area of fertilizers, the import dependence of India is very high, very high. Even in urea, we produce about 75% of our requirement, 25% is imported. In complex, a lot of imports do take place. Ammonia, a lot of imports do take place. So if we can be self-sufficient in these areas, I think that will make a big sense for India. And definitely this is also a lookist policy, because if you look at the coal production in this country and coal reserves in this country, 50% or more is in the 3 states of West Bengal, Jharkhand and Odisha. So actually these are the 3 states which has the abundance of coal. In fact, the production is also abundant here. And in fact, this is one area where West actually is trailing behind East, because even the farthest towards West, farthest coal field is also at the center, not at the West. There is nothing, there is no coal near Maharashtra, Gujarat. So therefore, this is something which should happen. We are very happy to say that the world's largest coal mining company is headquartered in Kolkata. This has been, this company produces close to about now 600 million tons, which is the largest in the world. It's the only Maharatna company in the eastern part of the country. It's a company which has been making consistent money all these years, in spite of the fact that coal companies elsewhere, global coal companies have been finding it very difficult to take the headwinds, but this company has done pretty well. The coal produced is sold at a price which is still at a discount to international prices, and still the company is sound. I wish somebody from Coal India would have been here. In fact, Mr. Lahiri was asking me to see if the chairman could have been present, but I know for sure that the chairman is now in a board meeting at Delhi, so he couldn't come here. But I think with this kind of infrastructure available, with Coal India present in this particular city, and with most of the coal production happening in this part of the country, I think we should look at coal to oil. I'll just take another 2 minutes to talk about another idea where, West Bengal is very strong in tourism, and a lot of things have been done in tourism. But I believe that one particular opportunity is not yet has not yet been seized, which I would very much like to see it being seized. If people who have visited Melbourne, you might have come across a particular tourist spot they have developed near a coal mine, about 100 kilometers away from Melbourne, where there was a disaster. And after the disaster, that mine got closed, sometime in 1895 or 1905, something like that. I have visited that mine, that place. Now here in India, and in that disaster, actually 30 people lost life. It was an inundation accident, water in gush. In India, in West Bengal, we have a mine called Mahabir. It's a closed mine. So you have to always look at tourism in centering a closed mine. But this Mahabir had a great story in the sense that it had seen one of the fantastic sort of, accident being handled in such a way that out of 71 people who were inundated, they lived there for 7 days, 65 people could be taken out alive. So it's a great story in the history of disaster management. And if an audiovisual kind of a thing can be created over there and, a visit organized from Calcutta through Volvo buses or whatever, I think a private sector association is important. And you can connect with Eastern Coalfields to show them some good open cast mine in the same trip. It could be a good one-day trip. And the Melbourne mine, they charge $50 as entry fee. I think we can also do something similar and develop good tourism around this particular story. So I would leave it at that. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you so much, Sri Parthasarathy Bhattacharya. And I can make out that even if Coal India, he's no longer the head of Coal India, you can never take Coal India from him. It's Bengal Chamber's neighbor, in case you didn't know. And I have a grouse to pick with you, sir. I have, Mr. Bhattacharya, always been a bitter critic of Coal India, but I have a grouse to pick with you. Did you say that Beijing is more polluted than Delhi? I disagree with you. At least for a full 7 days, Delhi is number 1. We are indeed the most polluted part of the world. Oh, there he is. He knows the way forward. It's not just odd and even. And I must also inform you that Mr. Tharadol Thongruang of Minister Council of Thailand, that wonderful presentation he made with all the maps is available to all of you. And Angona is there, and any of you who are interested in that map, which is very, very revealing, those sets of maps that he's from, please feel free to take it from Angona. And I must also apologize to Janab Muhammad Shaiful Islam. He's talked about Bangladesh being one of the world leaders in garment making and fish. Look, our neighbor, Bangladesh, his track record on healthcare and empowerment of women is far superior to that of India. And we should remember that as we talk. We now have the Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Suresh Prabhu. We are going to show a short video of his, and thereafter Shri Aniruddha Lahiri will give a vote of thanks. We made up some time.
This is a very good program that is organized by the Bengal Chamber of Commerce on positioning West Bengal and Northeast as a gateway to Southeast and East Asia. This is exactly our priority. Our Prime Minister said act East policy, not look East policy. Act. And for that we have taken a number of measures. I was in Southeast Asia. I was in Far East. We are trying to develop the entire relationship with that region, and we want to develop it through Northeast and West Bengal. Our idea